and welcome to Keeper's Corner Podcast, where we're breaking down anything and everything Utica City FC related. With your hosts, as always, Matthew Sterling, Michelle Brooks, and Brandon Brooks. Let's go. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Keeper's Corner Podcast. Your hosts are a little shorter tonight than last time. Instead of having a giant free-for-all kerfuffle, it's just myself, Matt Sterling, and Brandon Brooks here tonight.
Hello.
Brandon, there's only one thing we really have to talk about this week. And
Christmas.
No, that is for the other podcast we do, you know.
The Christmas Corner Podcast.
All I want for Christmas is the Ron Newman Cup in Utica.
Yes, exactly.
No, I think, you know, it's the All-Star game. The first one in a long time, as the cutbacks to older games where everyone was wearing shorts that you would never see on a guy these days.
I mean, you would, but...
Okay, you would not generally find in the men's section.
Fair.
Okay.
Fair enough. Yeah, definitely a very interesting game. Obviously, based on our calls from the last, did not go the way we expected. But it was overall, at least for the first three, it was a very entertaining game. However, obviously it kind of got away from everyone in the fourth, but we'll get there.
Yeah, I mean, we went into the half tied at 2. And then the West, whatever adjustments they made at halftime, or we can discuss the keeper change that the East made and how much that may have played a role in the 3 goals allowed in the third and then 4 in the fourth. But, you know,
well,
3 of those were versus 6 attacker. And
given that it was an all-star game and it has no bearing on the season whatsoever,
right.
They might as well use both keepers. Give them both a chance to play. I mean, there's no reason not to, regardless of the score, regardless of anything else. If they really wanted to win, you know, like if they were dead set on winning, then of course they would have kept Venzela in, you know. But they still had talented. They still had a talented goalkeeper in for the whole game, regardless of which one was in. So, you know, regardless of how it went, just giving the guys both time to play was what was the goal there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's an all-star game. No matter what, you're going to see everyone play.
Yes, exactly.
It's just a glorified scrimmage, really.
For
an entertaining scrimmage, you know, I mean... That was the favorite part of everyone's practice was we're going to stop the drills and we're just going to scrimmage. But
speaking of keepers, real quick, I didn't realize that Nito played.
Yeah, he was in the fourth quarter.
He was in the fourth quarter, yeah. I figured that must have been the fourth quarter because he only has 11 minutes of play time. So you had Venzela play 2. Nascimento playing 1 full, and then Nito playing the fourth. Just most of the fourth. I didn't see. That is one thing. Before we get started, I'm going to say this right now. Is that it was so not anything wrong with the broadcast. My only complaint that I had with the broadcast was you couldn't make out numbers. You kind of had to guess who was who based on how they, what positions they played, things like that. I personally had a difficult time, and you were here watching. It was on a 65-inch HD TV, and I had a hard time figuring out who was who for most of the game. There was only certain times that I could figure that out, either based on just seeing numbers on jerseys or hearing the announcers say something. So that was one thing for me that was really difficult to keep track of, was who and what was happening.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's the big downside to everything being streamed, is unless you're going to get, 1080p or 4K, the finer details are lost.
Yes.
I mean, that's with anything, not just MASL, but...
Oh, yeah, no question. I mean, there's a lot of streaming services that you'll only see like 720p. And so you do lose a lot of detail in that. But that was my only complaint. Otherwise the broadcast team did a fantastic job, I thought.
Mm. Yeah. I mean, the big changes to the game were involving COVID, and that was there was glass the entire way around.
Yes.
Which, I can see why people like it. I can see why people don't like it. If you have one of those midfield seats that for the past however many years hasn't had glass, and you can high five the players and get signatures to, be part of the celebration.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely great. Yeah, the ball goes out of play once in a while. It happens. Slows things down. But
free ball.
Balls, but now the ball's a lot less likely to go into the crowd.
True.
There's less stoppage. The game's arguably faster at that point, You're not making switches when play is dead.
Yes. Yeah, definitely overall had a different feel to it. Obviously it was still indoor soccer, but just didn't A, doesn't have the same feel as it normally does when we're there, and B, just a different style. Things being a little bit more reserved, the crowd not being as rambunctious, A, because there's less people, and B, because we're all more spread out. So, you could see that just on the cameras, which obviously mandatory, necessary, but no, still a great game. I still enjoy watching it. It was unfortunate that we did lose out on some people kind of last minute, which potentially could have contributed to some of the misgivings that we had for the game.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the West, they lost Brian Aguilar, first team All MASL last season. Huge offensive threat down in Monterey. Had some last-minute travel restrictions. So, I mean, maybe that accounts for why they only scored, let's say, 6 goals. It was 6 goals before the 6th attacker was on. And for the East, you lost 4 players to COVID contact tracing protocols.
Yep.
So, I mean, the one thing you can say about that is they were all from different teams. So it's not like it was related to everyone coming on a single plane.
Right. Like, for instance, we lost Darren Toby, but, we didn't lose Togba or Bordeaux. So, I mean, it didn't affect everyone coming from the same place.
No. So, but yeah, I mean, I guess that's why they had 20-person rosters. You lose 4, you still have a game day roster, but at that point, you're down to 3.5 lines because 3 of your players of your 16 are keepers.
Yep.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that affected it somewhat. And I'm gonna say, that's the halftime change the West made, is they're down defenders. Just keep
go all in.
And they did switch out Vanzella for Paolo at that point, and nothing against Paolo. He's done a great job in St. Louis, but Vanzella leads the league with shutouts for a reason.
I was going to say, he did have the better season if you look at it on paper.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with the talent level of either one of them, just simply looking at it from a strictly numbers perspective. Vanzella was the clear choice to keep in for the whole game. Now, again, as we already talked about, giving everybody a fair chance in an all-star game, so no reason for us to rehash it. But it might have been not the best choice. But we have seen Paulo still play well, and he still played. He still played well, but just not well enough.
Unfortunately, they got 10 shots there in the third quarter. 3 of them found net, 4 of them found Paulo's gloves, and the other 3 weren't on goal, but they were
wide.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, of course, I'll still say, third quarter curse followed Utica, I feel, in the game. We gave the third quarter curse to everybody else. We went scoreless in the third, and they got 3 on us. So I'm attributing that to the third quarter curse from Utica.
I mean, the West. You can't take anything from them. They had Danny Waltman and Chris Toth in goal, and they're 2 of definitely, if not 1-2 in the West with Pardo there. It's 2 and 3 or 1 and 3. Those 3 are interchangeable. And now you've got them on the same team, and there's a reason why Danny Waltman got MVP.
And I was not trying to take away from from the West at all by saying that the East went scoreless and it was all on them. That's not, it definitely had a powerhouse in there for the whole game, regardless of who was in there. But I don't know. In general, I mean, the East just didn't seem to have their finishing shoes. I mean, we were saying that all night. It just seemed like, we would get close. We would maybe take a couple of pot shots, but nobody was there to finish. And that kind of felt like the cohesion or the cooperation was not there for the East as it was for the West. Again, that could have been the last minute changes. I don't know, but it felt like the West was working better together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I mean, it could be the team makeup. I don't know. Let's look at the first quarter, because we, in our last episode, we kind of guessed how rusty they would be and how long the chemistry would take. I think we underestimated just how rusty these guys are. Because, we were thinking, maybe 5 minutes, they'll get things stretched out and start to, it took the entire quarter to start to see what looked like the MASL game that we're used to seeing.
Yep. I mean, just about 12 minutes to get a single goal on the board. I mean, yeah, it definitely, you could see the rust kind of coming off them as they went. But it was a rough start. Lot of contributing factors to that, but it's been a while since we've had a game. So, and since any of them have had an actual, league sanctioned game type thing. So it was a warm up for sure.
I do want to talk about the broadcast, because this was the first one through Facebook Live's pay-per-view event thing. I'll be honest, I didn't notice a difference in broadcast quality from YouTube at all, except for the giant glowing red notification in the top right corner that said live. It was the brightest thing on the screen. It drew your attention to it, and it just let you know that there were 500-ish people watching at any given point.
Yes. That was the most annoying. Matt knows I looked at every setting I could to try and remove that, and that thing was so annoying to just kind of, I mean, did it kind of fade into the background for me? Yes. Eventually, I didn't even notice it anymore. But every once in a while, I would skim my eyes past it, and there it was again. And it was extremely annoying. If they continue with Facebook Live, they've got to find a way to get rid of that.
Yeah,
they have to.
It's an eyesore.
Yes. It's like watching it with a watermark.
And it says a lot when your broadcast is coming out and the clearest, best thing on it is a stamp from Facebook letting you know how many people are watching.
Yes. Yeah, that's... Again, I didn't have any other complaints about the broadcast other than, well, what I mentioned already, which was just not being able to tell who's who. But again, that's a totally separate thing. That's not the service. That is just the cameras being used and whatnot. But that watermark was just, oh my, I hated it. I hated it so much.
Now, I know we didn't talk about it that night, but I've seen it brought up in a couple of the groups on Facebook, really both in the box and off the wall. They apparently had a teaser. This probably was in the fourth quarter when it had kind of lost our attention, to be honest. But it looks like they're going to charge either individually by the game at $3.99 for the season, or you can get the whole season, which most likely means every game from every team for $80. Fair prices?
Remind me again, because I'm drawing a blank, how many games Utica would have if you only cared about one team.
If you only care about one team, the minimum games for a season to be completed in this is 12. So
it evens out then.
Right.
So if you're paying $80 for the season, as long as you get every single game and not just like a drop box, like you have to pick your home team and it gives you those games for that team,
right?
Then the $80 is a fair price.
Especially because I just want to say, the way it looks like it's shaping out and was stated in the email to season ticket holders is that, or the public statement from Utica City, they're going to start the season late. They're probably going to get less than the maximum 24 games in then. So,
Yeah, I as long as you can watch every game from every team for that money, totally justified. And may even, have some people watching more games than they normally would. If their team's not playing that weekend or something like that, then, they can watch someone else instead of being locked into watching their own team. Now, of course, some people are going to be upset because, it was free last year. But obviously, the league has to make money, and they're not making as much money off of seats. Because if they can make any at all, seats, concessions, all that's...
Right. So here's the poll that they have in the MASL off the wall group right now. There are 4 options on it. I'm not paying to watch games online. I will pay $79 for a season pass. I would be willing to pay if the production was better. And I will pay $3.99 on a game-to-game basis. In last place, and I'll say I voted for this one, is that I will pay $3.99 on a game-to-game basis. Simply because I don't know if Utica is going to get their full 24 games. I tune into a couple other games this season, but...
Mostly you care about the home team.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I'm leaning very heavily towards there not being any crowd in the Utica at all this season.
Yeah, I agree.
And for the teams that are allowed to have a crowd in, I mean, at least they're making some money, but given the way the pandemic's going, like each day of December so far, we've had more Americans die than died in Pearl Harbor.
Yeah.
So, maybe we shouldn't be having crowds in indoor settings at the moment, but that's for another time to debate reality and
debate.
science. And, yeah. But I'm in the very small minority here. 21 votes have gone here to the individual game by game.
Mm-hmm.
39 votes say they'd be willing to pay if the production was better.
And I agree with that. There's a lot of them that don't have a good production quality. Again, we're going to run into more games like the All-Star game where you can't tell who's who. The only way you'll be able to tell is because you've essentially memorized your team, at least your team. You might not know who they're up against or who's coming the opposite direction, but you're going to know your team for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I can definitely understand why that one. But I mean, I'm honestly surprised it's not a little bit higher. But I know that there's going to be. I'm sure that one of these two, because I don't know this poll. I don't know the poll. I haven't seen this one, so I don't know which one's in first, which one's in second. But frankly, I can see. I know you will. I know.
So last is me. Last is me with the $4.99, which I think is very fair for the quality of the game.
It's fair, but a lot of people are going to want to watch All or Nothing.
Yeah, but a lot of people are also. I mean, the comments are just, I can't believe it's not free. Why won't they put on the games for free for me? They used to. I can't go to the arena this year, and I can't give them my money that way. I shouldn't have to give them money at all. Wah, wah, wah. Grow up, people. Like, it's a business. They're going to operate at losses. They have to recuperate it somehow.
They have to pay the players.
It's annoying because that I refuse to pay is a far and away first place. Second place is the pay for a season pass with 58 votes. 104 people in this group have said they won't pay to watch games online. You're not a fan of the league at that point. You're not a fan of the sport. You're a selfish person that thinks that the world needs to operate to your standards.
So that I'm choosing my words exceptionally carefully, like really carefully, because you've got those people that will never pay for any event online at all. Like, they will watch the pirate streams for like UFC. They will do the same thing for like WWE streams, things like that. $4 a game is essentially a dunk and run. One dunk and run a week. Go without dunking for one day. You can afford a game. Boom.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
or Tim Hortons, Starbucks.
As you said, it is a business. We're lucky to get a season at all. And frankly, if people don't pay for it or aren't willing to pay for it, then it's just going to drive the league into more of a hole, and then potentially we won't even have anything to watch next year if for whatever reason this continued for another year. Obviously hypothetical scenario. If this went for another year, we probably won't have soccer to watch if they can't make, if they know for a fact they're going to make no money or lose a lot of money and not be able to recoup any of it. And that is, you cannot think of it in the short term. You have to look at this in the long term. If you really want to support, don't think about it as paying for a subscription or paying for a video or something like that. You're paying to support a league that you care about. And I mean, to me, it's a no-brainer. I mean, I'm most likely going to get the full thing. I will most likely pay that. I'll be part of that 58 that actually pays for the full season of soccer, because, Sunday afternoons, I'm not doing anything else. Saturday nights, that's a great thing to watch, is a soccer game. And, if it's really that much of a problem, find people and find a couple of friends locally. You probably have some friends that are local to you that you're willing to have over to your house, even with all this COVID stuff. You probably have some close friends that you feel pretty safe around that would pitch in. It's $1 per person if you have 4 people. That's it. Like $1 per person.
Like, it's not like we're dealing with, the $9 billion a year industry that is the NFL, which has TV contracts with, major networks that, whether they're fans in the stands or not, are going to be paying them hundreds of millions of dollars a year for the rights to broadcast the games. And you're complaining over, I think the cheapest season ticket in Utica is $120, $130, something like that.
And right there, for anyone who, say, like me, for instance, I paid for my season ticket in the stadium. I'm sure you did too, Matt.
Yeah, it's already paid for.
I'm sure a lot of people in that group had done the exact same thing. Well, what if you got that money back and then paid for a ticket, or then paid for the season pass for this year? You were still planning on paying for your ticket next year. I would be more than willing to bet, and that's going to cost more than what this is going to cost. Now, not to be unsympathetic for those that are probably in a financial, having financial troubles right now, given what's going on. Not to brush them aside, but if you were planning on attending the games, you most likely had the money for that. And it's either pay for these games online or go without. And that's just a choice that everyone's going to have to make, and they're going to have to live with it. And either watch highlights, like just like a lot of the other people are probably going to have to do, or shell out the money, or find a friend who is going to be shelling out the money and watch it there. Like, these guys, this is still a job for these guys. We still have to pay the players, the coaches, the refs, even though half of us hate them, the commentators, the camera operators, the lights operators, the audio-visual guys. These people still have to get paid for the job that they do. They're not donating their time. Half of them can't. Half of them are in the same situation as most people out there. Most people taking that poll. And I'm not trying to, I am not trying to personally attack anyone. And that's why, I would never name names. I'd never say anything like that. Plus, I don't even know who voted for what. I don't really care.
Right.
Like, this is not a personal attack on anyone, and I'm saying that now. But grow the frig up. It's an economy, people. You have to pay for these services. That's just how it works.
Yeah, it's a private industry. It's not like it's government funded. There's not money coming out of your tax dollars to put the shows on for us. But, I mean, the big thing is, and if... I know it's a small sample size, because the league has, like 17,000-ish subscribers on YouTube. I'm sure many of those are multiple accounts within the same house. So, yeah, I mean, if I'm going by game, and I'm a family of 4, and I'm paying $4 to watch it for the entire family, okay, don't rent Frozen off of Amazon for one Friday night.
It's $1. $1 for a family of 4. $1 per person for a family of 4. I mean, that's, and that's a good, sample, is that a lot, just looking around the, in Utica, there's a lot of families that go to these events. I mean, yeah, just save your quarters and you'd probably be able to afford it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I get it. Times are tough for everyone.
Yeah.
I left my job where I was making a lot more because of their decisions over coronavirus and more or less wanting to ignore most of it to keep operating under a semi-normal reality.
That didn't
And
work out for them, but anyway.
no, it didn't. We won't mention anything about it, but
No,
yeah.
no. Of course not. I mean, I've been lucky enough to be in a position where my wife and I have not been affected because our businesses adapted. But I know that there's people out there that have been impacted, and again, it's just going to come down to, okay, do you keep Netflix, which is going up, or do you maybe sub that out for watching the games? I mean, that is decisions that people have to make.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, we're not going to influence them one way or the other.
Yeah, no. But yeah, there's so many streaming services out there. Do you need Netflix and Hulu and Amazon Prime and HBO Go Max and CBS Peacock All Act? Yeah. There's so many.
I'm emphatically nodding my head to this. We need you need it all.
Mm-hmm. I mean, like, I've got Disney Plus, but that's basically The Mandalorian Plus.
Yeah. I mean, there's some other good stuff on there. Come on now.
Okay, there is, but like, that's mostly what I'm paying for that bundle with Hulu and ESPN Plus.
Yep.
You know how many things I've watched on ESPN Plus? Zero. I use it for the bonus articles, which if it wasn't included, I wouldn't use.
I was able to watch a lot more last year, but now everything's blacked out.
Yeah, stupid blackouts. Oh, well, wait, is that another thing you don't have to worry about with the MASL? No local blackouts?
Imagine that.
Boy, that's crazy.
MASL, bring us on as your advertising team. We got this.
We're the Major Arena Soccer League, and we won't screw over the local viewers who can't make it to the arena in a pandemic by offering our services online instead of blacking them out like some other leagues that shall not be named.
And when you can't get into the arena because of coronavirus, hey, guess what? You could still got watched online.
Yep. I hope the league goes ahead and is able to play, and even if it means I don't know, bubbles for a month at a time. You put 4 teams in a bubble, they play a round robin for a month, and then they can move on somewhere else. Because good for Kansas City for putting it on and getting 1,300 fans in your arena, give or take. I don't know what the crowd ended up being. I don't know.
I don't think I checked that out, to be honest.
I don't think it says attendance on the website.
I don't believe so.
Preview.
Or if it did, I just missed it and I'm blind, which is a very distinct possibility.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm also not seeing it, so we're gonna say they didn't announce the crowd. Maybe on social media and we missed it, but I don't know. Just
one other thing I guess I do want to touch on, because I'm not sure what else we would like to cover here at this point.
Mm-hmm.
2 things. Number 1, very clean game, I noticed.
Yes.
Maybe it's just people playing it safe, making sure it doesn't impact their actual season, but only 1 blue card for a reckless tackle by Danny Waltman. That was it. That's the only thing that was called the entire night. Mm-hmm. So, and it did not looking, watching from, obviously watching from home, it did not seem as though it was, there wasn't a ton of dirty play. Obviously people taking tumbles and things like that, penalties being called, but no cards. A couple of times, I believe we did see a couple of instances where we were surprised there wasn't a card, but at the same time, overall, I thought it was a very clean game, and I think that's probably why it went by so quickly. The second thing was I'm still very confused about the first East goal, which was awarded to Nate Bordeaux, which good on him. I'm always glad to see one of the hometown boys get awarded a goal. I'm still very confused why they didn't go to Doug Miller. Everybody thought it was Doug Miller initially, myself included. But have I gone back and rewatched it? I don't even know if you can. But I have I gone back and rewatched replays or whatnot? No. So can I dispute it? No. But at first it was everybody thought, even the announcers said it was Doug Miller, and then it got awarded to Bordeaux after the fact, which again, still happy about that. But based on what I saw, I felt that Doug Miller should have gotten that, but we couldn't see everything. So that was the only other complaint I really had. Minor complaint.
It was the first All-Star game, so hopefully in the future, like we mentioned on the last one, we'll see more fan involvement with picking the teams. Even I'm not saying 100%. Do something like MLB where players count for 50% of the vote, coaches at like 30, GMs had 10, and then fan vote counts for 10%.
Yeah.
But then once you have the lineups, go ahead, let the fans 100% pick the starting lineup, because it's the MASL. It doesn't matter. The line will shift 30 seconds in depending on who gets the ball.
That is very true, is that, you could really screw somebody out of one goal potentially.
Yeah.
By choosing the starting line, by allowing the fans to choose the starting lineup. But the fans are going to pick the best ones to be on the field at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Probably. It could be a weird mix though, but at least it would be entertaining for about 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And then it would just fall right back in, like right back into the norm, and you wouldn't notice any difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I even if it's not all of them, even if it's just, okay, here's the starting lineup, pick the last player. Or, even if there's or even picking the roster, if it's, down to pick your entire roster the way you want it,
mm-hmm.
and then let the fans pick the last one. Give them 3 choices. They're all choices that the coach and the team would be more than happy to have. Give the fans 3 choices and have them vote. And what do you have to lose? You could even charge for votes if you really wanted to.
Yeah. And instead of doing player coaches, do like they do in the other leagues as well. Whatever coach led their team to the conference finals last year, that's your all-star coach.
But we didn't have that.
Right, but you know what I mean.
I know what you're saying. In an ideal, in a normal scenario, yes,
mm-hmm.
have the coach that won it all, essentially, have them coach.
Now, could that be a fun language barrier for the West? Because they get Monterey and Soles? Maybe.
Maybe, but nothing that people couldn't work around. I mean, we've seen Google Translate be utilized more than once for stuff like that. So,
mm-hmm.
Not naming any names.
No, well,
I'm probably gonna get yelled at for that one.
All right. Well, I think that pretty much covers the All-Star game. At some point, we'll have to try to get Huber back in here to tell us about his trip.
Sorry.
He is back in the state tonight. He is getting tested immediately upon landing, he said. and he did have a prior commitment for a different video chat with someone else tonight, which is why he couldn't be on.
Yeah, he's a busy guy anyway, but
He is.
He's
He's
I would love to hear his firsthand account of of just being there.
Mm-hmm.
We spotted the blue hair very early on. We knew where he was in the crowd. But still very jealous that he was able to go down there. But it's one of those things that the wife and I just couldn't swing it.
Mm-hmm.
So more power to the fanatic.
All right. I know it's a short episode, but I think we're going to call it here because, if it was one game, it really didn't matter much. And hopefully in the coming weeks, we start getting a team put together for Utica that we can talk about and maybe have a schedule and figure out how to sneak into the Utica Odd, who we have to bribe for that, if there are any home games. Just put us in a suite.
Just
separate suites.
Put us up in the superstructure.
I'm afraid of heights. I don't want to hang from that.
Oh, so am I. But dude, I'll do it anyway. Get a bird's eye view until I fall and die,
or get hit with a straight wall,
and then fall and die.
All right. Well, Brandon, thanks for doing this. I know we're a day late, but life
of course.
Away.
And, of course, I'm going to be here.
Yeah. For those who listen, thank you for giving us a listen. As always, you can follow us on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. We got the big three. Our new podcast host, who I'm sure you've heard me talk about in an ad repeatedly throughout some of our episodes, has been fantastic and gotten us onto all of our old streaming like Spotify and Google Podcasts. But we're also finally on Apple Podcasts where you can subscribe. Following our old stream, that one's dead. I had to change the apostrophe, so it's Keeper 'S Corner. We have become one. A singular.
We are Legion.
I don't know how many people got that reference, but I did.
Hey, I try my best, alright?
Yeah. It should be a nice, easy listen to follow us. I'm hoping to bring back Wallpaper Wednesday. And with that said, thank you for listening. Have a great day.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.